Oh, this computer, okay.
Oh, where is it? Oh,
It's,
is it behind? I don't know. I don't see it now. Pause, stop recording. Oh, it started again. It didn't give me that message again.
oh, that's funny.
Okay.
There we go. And I can
You want me
turn
to
it
hide
if you
that
want.
control?
Yeah, oh, I can
You can do it.
hide floating meeting controls, and then I hit escape. Okay, perfect. I'll just turn it this way then. All right, well, welcome. First of all, like Glenn's way too kind. But I do love technology and I do love family history, so I do really like to bring them together. I have not had as much time to stay on the cutting edge as I would have loved to, as I used to be able to, because I have been doing a lot more youth stuff lately with my new calling as well as my, sorry, I'm just gonna move this down. Okay. As well as just doing seminary and things like that. So, but what my goal is today is to just give you some ideas of tools you can use to help you in if you're a hobbyist, though I know at least a few people here are not just hobbyists, but like love this stuff so much. So, but just to get things going, I have a few little gifs for you to relate to. If I can get this to click, maybe I will have to stand back here if it doesn't want to. Just to see if you can relate to this. So we're going to see if you can relate to being a hobbyist genealogist or if you belong in a different class. I'm not addicted to genealogy. I can quit as soon as I find one more ancestor. Can you relate to that one? This one's my favorite. Sometimes I pretend to myself that I have insomnia. What I really have is a lot of genealogy, and inadequate respect for tomorrow. I have been guilty far more times than I care to admit of staying up like overnight because I was trying to find just one more ancestor, right? Just one more record, usually. Genealogy where you confuse the dead and irritate the living. Have any of you ever been guilty of that? Yeah, me too. You're addicted to genealogy when you have more pictures of ancestors than your living relatives on your wall. And I don't know what they're talking about. So that's my office. And I love these guys. They help me, right? They watch over me while I work on their families. Certainly you can relate to at least a few of those. I love this quote by Guy Black. It says, "I wish I had realized that family history is a perishable commodity. It disappears with time as memories fade and as loved ones pass on. I wish I had known that the most important aspects of family history is preserving a record of the present for the future." Now, we've been in a world where family history has made that shift a lot, probably in the last 10 years, right? I think Rose was at the cutting edge of that. She just changed it for all of us. But basically, I think that's probably the thing that I grasp the most and that I think it's most important for us to teach the next generation and help them recognize like, hey, it's the preservation just as much as it is the research and the charts, right? And so basically we'll explore lots of different aspects of family history, but keeping our minds open to that aspect is just as important and in some cases even more important. So I broke this class down into 4 groups to answer 4 questions. So the first one is, what's your story? What is the story that you have that needs to be preserved? That is a question most of us neglect. So we start with that one because it's also one that's important. And I'll admit that I'm just as guilty as anyone. I might have a journal here and there, but I'm not great at it. And so it's really about who better to tell our story than us, and who better to, in this setting, we can talk about like to preserve our testimonies and the experiences we have that built them. I think that's an important aspect to keep in mind. The second question, which family memories are about to disappear? Think about that one. Do you have aunts, uncles, cousins, siblings, kids? Who is it that has some memories that you could potentially lose if you don't act now, if you don't take a step to make sure you're preserving those? The third one is, what family lines do you feel drawn to? And this one I love because I definitely think this is when, we get help from that other side, because I definitely have noticed when I sit down, whenever I help someone for the first time, let's start with a prayer, because I really believe people will feel drawn to those who are ready to help. And it's really cool how when you start to get down some of those lines, what you'll turn up. And so keeping that in mind, which ones are you feeling drawn to? It's okay if you can't do them all at once. And maybe another person ends up being the one who covers that line. But which one are you feeling drawn to? Because you're probably going to have some connections you'll make on that line. And then the fourth question, do you desire to share what you've learned? I think that we're all guilty of that too. Once we get going, we feel that love and that incredible spirit that comes with doing family history and connecting with our deceased ancestors. But do we want to share it? How can we share it? Let's think outside the box. So with those 4 questions, I broke the presentation into 4 categories: the story of you, the story of us, so preserving those stories that might get lost, and then your family tree, which we all love, and making it fun. We want to make it fun for those who we want to share it with, right? So how can we think outside the box and do that? So we're going to break our tools into those categories. And just so you know, like, despite the fact that Glenn thinks that I know everything, I don't. And I'm totally up for if you have additional tools as I present a few, share it with everyone because we can learn from each other. And I totally love that. So the first one is, of course, journaling. We've been asked to journal as members of the church, if you're all members. As members of the church, we've been asked to journal since the 1800s. That's not a new thing, right? So we all know we're supposed to, and we all feel a little guilty. But the cool thing about modern technology is it makes it a lot easier, and we can start thinking outside the box. And that's kind of what we're going to do in this whole class. So the first tool, and truly, I don't have a preference on which one you use, so I'm just going to give a few things. But the first tool I'm introducing is called Journey. Basically, it's just a journaling app. And the reason I recommend getting a journaling app, and truthfully, I use so many different things for journaling. My pastor is going to have a hard time finding them all, probably. But I'm documenting it at least. And maybe at some point in my life, I'll have time to make sure they're all in one place and make a beautiful website. That's my goal someday. But in the meantime, what you need to do is find what works for you. And so I'm going to give you a few ideas. The first one is just a typical journaling app. The thing I like about journaling apps is you can install them on your computer, your phone, and your tablet, and they're all synced. If you're at the Family History Center and you're helping and no one's here, you can journal for a few minutes. You don't have to bring your physical journal with you. Now, we all know handwriting is beautiful and lovely, and so I still recommend writing once in a while in a handwritten journal. But if you have some type of journaling app, you're going to be able to document more often and more on the spot, right? So a couple of things that I recommend having when you're looking for a journaling app that would work is, I think, anything that's gonna sync across devices, so you can sign in, which most are gonna do now. Any that have story prompts or questions and things like that, I think are really helpful. But most importantly, just something that will notify you and remind you, because most of the time that's what we need. It's just a reminder to journal, right? Now, this is my outside the box one. I taught a whole class on this last year, and I love this app for so many things, family history. So you'll hear it for more than just this one. But how many of you have heard of Marco Polo? Okay, so half. Okay, great. Marco Polo is a video messaging app. So what I would relate it to is like a text message, but through video. So what's cool about that is that you can send it and receive it on your time and in your way, right? And you can reply it in your time and all that, but it's a video. So you don't lose the context that you can lose in a text message, right? Like sometimes someone will send something sarcastic and you didn't pick up on it and you thought they were just being rude. In a Marco Polo, you're going to be able to pick up on the personality of it a little bit, right? So the reason I like Marco Polo for journaling is I personally am an open book, and I share all my deep, dark secrets with all of my friends and family. And so for me, if I am already on Marco Polo sharing stories, it's easy for me to jump over. And you can see this one right here. It's called Just Me, and that's my journal. So if I see it, sometimes I'll just be like, oh yeah, I could pull a little message about what's been going on. Or what I find that I use more often with Marco Polo is you can forward messages. So if I sent a message to my husband to tell him about my day, I can just long press it and forward it to my Just Me feed, and now it's part of my journal. And then it preserves them all in there. You can download them and save them. You can screen record them. There's all different ways you could save it for like a long-term saving. But I think it's a really cool tool. I'm using it all the time anyway. So I guess ultimately with Marco Polo, what I would say is, what tools are you using to communicate regularly? Is there a way you could utilize it to help you be journaling so that you're documenting? And that, oh, sorry, that was just I'm skipping this one for a second because I want to show you this. That actually, sorry, I'm skipping a couple for a second. Takes me to this one because social media often we don't think of as, we just think of it as fun and whatever, maybe fun or just like maybe even a waste of time, right? But the cool thing about social media is we are documenting a lot. Anyone who's already on social media, that includes your family. So if you have family that thinks they're not journaling, but they're doing this, like, just remind them, all you have to do is save those, and now you've journaled your whole life in there, right? And so, so keeping in mind, all these tools that you're already using could potentially be already documenting those things. Now I'm going back to story, sorry. So kind of think outside the box. That's my invitation to you, is think of the things in your life that work well for you, that you enjoy using, and then think outside the box. Another tool that I love, and I always have to include it, it does cost money. The rest of these are free. Marco Polo does have a paid version. Like, I think probably all of them have paid versions, but you could use all of them for free. Storyworth, on the other hand, is a paid. I don't remember how much it is. It's a little less than $100 a year, I think. It's not a bad price. What I love about Storyworth is it is, I've had it for years and I still get good stories out of it. You set up your storytellers. So I picked my grandparents, my parents, my husband, my in-laws. And then you set it up and it will send them an automatic email every 2 weeks. You can choose every week, every 2 weeks, every once a month. And then it has an incredible library of really cool prompts. And I really, really love the stories that I get from this. And it's cool because when I first set it up, they were all better at it. Obviously, some of them better than others, but I got stories from my grandma. Oh, I'm jumping. Sorry, I just realized I'm jumping. Using it for yourself in this section, you can set yourself up as a storyteller and it will email you. And I like it because the story prompts are things that are like, oh, I don't think I would have thought to write that when I was writing a life story, right? You're just writing this chronological story. You're not going to write about your favorite children's book. But this one will ask you that 1 week. And you're like, oh, I can answer that quick, right? It doesn't have to be this huge time commitment. So I really, really appreciate their stories. Obviously, you can use it for other things too. And I was jumping into that, but I'm going to kind of skip this because I always run out of time in this class. So if you want to see how to use any of them, just let me know at the end and I'll walk you through it. But more, I'm trying to just give you some ideas and help you get kind of, but I literally run out of time every time. Okay, this leads me to my life hack number 1. And this is just, so Storyworth doesn't have an app. And some of these that I'm showing you today don't have apps. Well, I personally have found if I don't have an app, I'm less likely to use it, right? But what you can do with some of these websites like the Family History Guide that don't have apps is you can create a shortcut on your desktop on your phone, and then it functions like an app. You have to have the internet, but when you click on it, it's going to take you straight to that website, and then you just kind of use it almost like an app, if that makes sense. So I will walk through this one because I think it's a really useful one and I use it a lot on, because there are a lot of tools when it comes to family history that don't have apps or that just don't have them at all. So what you do, this is on an Android and I'll walk you through on an Apple, is you go to the website that you want to create a shortcut for. And when you, oh, sorry, I should mention, because I want all of these tools to be something you can access anytime, anywhere, so that if you're waiting for your plane to arrive or something like that, you're able to log in and maybe journal or something. We want to make these things like easy to access and easy to do on the go. So this one, you go up and you click on your internet in the upper right hand corner right there. It will pop open this menu. And then you can click add to home screen right there. When you click on add to home screen, it opens up a box and you can name it. And you can see this little icon right here. That's what's going to show up on your desktop. So then I hit add and then I add it. And now you can see I can build a folder of all my family history apps on my desktop of my phone. And now Storyworth, Marco Polo, and Journey are all in there for me to use whenever I'm ready to use them. Then it's not cluttering up my whole desktop. It's just kind of tucked away. And when I want to work on family history, I pop open that folder and it's there. If you're on an Apple, it's similar, only the menu's at the bottom. So it's this little box at the bottom. And I didn't do this because I don't have an Apple phone. So they were documenting a weather site, and that's fine. But you just go to whichever website you want to add to your home screen, click add to home screen, and then it's going to do the same thing. You're going to name it up here and then hit add, and it pops out onto your desktop. Does that make sense? So that's my first life hack. And that's just good to know, right? It's just information that's good to know. So, and then the last one for preserving your story is just remembering that all the photos that we take are all parts of journaling our lives, right? And the reason I put Google Photos on here, like Amazon or Apple would work too. But the key is I really like that all these websites are starting to make it so that they're naturally like compiling them into albums and making easy to like go back and see different things. But utilizing some type of backup is good for a million reasons, but one of the not the least of which is journaling, because it's helping to categorize and keep things together with all of the face recognition software and locations and all of the things that it just is inherently doing through algorithms and different things like that. It is already journaling for you in such a way that all you have to do is a few things, share it, add a title, and it's already documenting so much of your life in such a cool way. So I really recommend always having some type of backup. You can see here, like, I thought I had one on there, but yeah, just you could navigate it quickly, but it also creates like albums of like this one, Ella and Lily, like it just automatically creates those things. And then I can send that to them and say, oh, look how cute you guys are. And they feel special and loved. And so it's just a good way to be documenting and preserving and journaling. Oh, yeah.
We do have a full class on Google Photos.
Perfect.
Once every quarter.
So watch for that one, because there's so much you can do with Google Photos. I forgot I added this one. This is the latest. If you want to be in hip with your grandkids, get Be Real. It is I haven't figured out a great way to like save it, but I love it because this is the easiest. Like, so Be Real is an app that it's like a social media app, but you're only friends with the people you are friends with, and they can only see the pictures you post for one day. After that, you're the only one who can see your archive, which I think is kind of cool. But the catch to Be Real is if it goes off on your phone and it says you have to take it right now. And if you take it right then, you get to take 5 pictures that day. If you don't take it at the right time, you have 2 minutes to take it, then you only get to take 2 pictures that day, which for me at the first, when I started doing it, I was like, whatever, who cares? Whatever. It was less back then, but what I love about it is this screen right here that you can see. Like, I love that I can go back and I can see what I did that day. And the whole concept of Be Real is you're not posting the coolest thing you did that day. You're not posting the best way you looked that day. You're posting who you really are. And I like it. I think it's authentic and it's refreshing. And kids love it. Like, if you're ever at church and you see all of a sudden all the phones go up, it's because Be Real takes a picture in front of you and in back. So I'm not encouraging kids to do that, but that's what's happening. You see every phone go up at the same time, it's Be Real. So you can now you can sound hip and be like, Be Real went off.
Do you get to set the time of day you want it to?
No, it goes off at a different time every day.
Oh, really?
So that's kind of the catch of it. And it's really fun. Like, I really enjoy going back to my calendar and clicking on it and seeing what I did that day. It's just kind of a fun. So it's yeah. Now that's where I can't say like that I figured out a great way to like preserve it long term. For now, most apps I don't recommend them unless there's a way to download it or whatever. And hopefully someday they'll give me a way to do that. But as of now, it's a newish app and it's kind of rinky dink. It's not amazing, but kids love it. So anyway, kind of a fun one. I like that it's journaling for me. You can always screenshot them to document them if you wanted to save them in your long-term photos. Okay, that is the story of you. So many tools, but so many of those tools will work for this section too. But you know, we want to make sure we cover it. So the story of us, how can you preserve things for the people in your life? And this one, I think this is going back to that question, what stories are you going to lose if you don't preserve them now? If you take the time to think about that, that's where some of these tools can come in handy. So the first one is keepsake. And keepsake is actually meant to be like a mother journal, like a baby book. It was the reason they created it was to make it a baby book. What I like about it is that it sends me a text with a prompt for my kid, like every day. I should probably stop my subscription. I don't answer it that often, but it's got a free version that's I think once a week. And it's perfect, right? So I put in all of my kids in here as people I want, and I actually have my husband in there. And so some of the questions don't fit because they are meant to be baby book questions, but 90% of them fit because they're just like, what's their favorite X, Y, or Z? So 90% of them work, and if it doesn't fit, I just ignore the question. But what it'll do is it'll send me a question. So I'll show you an example here. Does Ella prefer baths or showers, right? It sends me that text. I'm so used to responding to text that it's a great tool for me. So I'll just reply really fast. And once again, like StoryWord, it's an easy way for me to capture it. And quick, doing something I'm already used to doing, because I promise you in the life that I live, there's no way I would sit down and write this out loud. There's just no way I'd do it. But where I'm getting a text, I'm responding, and honestly, I started using it probably 5 years ago or 6, who knows. And I used it a lot at the beginning, and I've gotten less, but it doesn't matter, I'm still capturing. One of the coolest things that I think is that as a benefit of using this app is it compiles it. So if I don't answer the question, it puts it under their names at the top there. And then I can go click on it. So I can take my phone and sit down with Ella right now and say, hey, I have a bunch of questions I haven't answered. Let's go over them together, right? And so then it gives us this cool bonding moment where we can talk about what her favorite things are or what her best part of her day was or things like that. And so I think it could be a really cool tool. Once again, like all the other things, it's not like you need to do all these things. I'm just trying to give you ideas of tools that you could use to try to kind of tap into that, preserving the stories of your grandkids and your kids and your neighbors if you want. Their posterity will appreciate it. And then back to StoryWord. I love StoryWord just because of the quality of its questions. And here's where I wanted to get into my grandmother. So my grandmother is obviously one of the people for me that it's most important for me to preserve her stories, right? She and I do not have this like super tight bond. She, it doesn't matter. Like we just don't, right? So I wouldn't go and just sit down and I could, but it's a little bit less natural for me to go sit down and just ask her questions. It's just not kind of the relationship we have. I got StoryWorth and signed her up for it. And what it will do is it emails her and then she can hit a button that says, call me with that question. And it calls her and asks the question and then she can answer it verbally. So she doesn't have to type it out, which is so nice for older generations, right? They don't want to type. So that is perfect. And I am telling you, you guys, I gathered 50 at least different stories from my grandma through StoryWorth. I would have never asked those questions. She never would, like, I never would have made the time to sit down and get those, but I have them all recorded in her voice. I can share them with her, like any of her posterity, right? Yeah.
So does it transcribe what she says into the book?
So yes, you can have it transcribed. I think they charge you a fee to have them transcribed. Or honestly, at this point, you can just use voice to text if you wanted, if you're willing. You could pay for them to do it, or you could do it, right?
I mean, you have the actual audio recordings then?
You can download the audio recordings. Isn't that awesome? I love it.
Quick question about this.
Yeah.
Like you've got several storytellers there.
Mhm.
Are they all putting inputs into a single book? Or are they all
No.
individual?
They all have their own individual book. Yeah. So I've never actually purchased the book, but what it does is it pulls all the stories that you've collected and prints them into a book. So that's kind of how they advertise it a lot, is that, oh, you get this book, and which is a great way to do it. I've just never done it. I've never printed them, but you can download the audio recordings, and then you can download, like, so my dad always just texted this response back. He would just reply on his phone. So I have those in a document and I can download that. It'll let you download it.
That's the free version?
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't think they have a free version.
Wow.
That's the one that's like $100 or less a year. I got in on the early, so I was like paying $50, but it's super cheap and super worth it because I get a lot of stories that I never would have gotten. So, I mean, think of your person that you want to preserve the stories with and see which tool you think would help, right? Sorry, someone was raising hands, but you.
Is the main value of some of these apps you're showing us that they prompt you? That's the main.
That's, to me, that's, yes.
Okay, so if you are already on course of keeping things, they might still be of value, but the main thing is they, better write something down before you forget it.
Yeah,
Okay,
right, it's
all right.
giving you kind of these prompts that you wouldn't maybe necessarily come up with, these ones, but but that's when I would say, if you're good at it already, that's where family search is the memories app is gonna come in handy for you, right? Cause it still has prompts, and I'm gonna share a couple of those, but, so yes, so far, I would say that's, to me, the value of pretty much everyone that I've shown so far.
Really good for busy people.
But you
Yeah.
can also add photos to your story.
Yes. Yeah, on this, you can add photos, keepsake, you can add photos, what other ones did I show you? That's probably it. Journey, I think you can add a photo to your journal. So yeah, which is kind of cool too, right? So, yeah, did you have a question too? Or no? Okay.
The-
All right.
The downside is you can't contact your relatives on the other side.
Well, there might be ways. There's an app for that. No, I know, I'm like, you probably shouldn't mess with that one. That's true. Just to see a couple of the types of questions, that's the other value of it is the quality of the questions, cause some just have really good prompts. So this was what's one of the worst trips you've ever taken and what went wrong?
It's good question.
Would you ever think to ask someone that, right? And so that's what I love with Storyworth, you can write your own, or you can just take from their library, and if you don't like one, you reject it. You just read through, you reject, or oh, I like that, and you can, so it's nice that way. What was your first boss like? Are you still friends with any of your friends from high school, and how have they changed since then? What were your grandparents like? That one's maybe a more common one, but what was your mom like when you were a child? I thought that one was a cool one, because it's they're different now, right? Than how you remember. So that's one of my favorite things about Storyworth. I think they have the most quality questions. That said, if you ever want me to just compile a list, I'm happy to do that for you. I can screenshot. Okay. Let's see, skip. There's lots of different things you can use with it, right? But it's mostly just choosing how often you send the questions, which questions, things like that. And you can choose who you share it with as well. Then with Marco Polo, there's a couple of really cool ways to do this. And this is what I love about Marco Polo. And they actually just made this better. So I'll let it play here, but the idea on this one is to collect stories. I got a little creative because, like I said, me and my sisters are already using it. We live all over. So we're already using it to communicate. So what I did is I created a new group with my sisters and my mom, and we called it Our Family Stories. And then I took questions from 52 stories from Family Search. Just if you Google 52 stories, it just has a huge compilation of different questions with different themes, tons of ideas. And then what I would do is I would type it in on that sticky note that you see pop up. So it pops up just an image of a sticky note. And I typed in the question, fill in the blank with as many different words as you can. We come from a long line of, and then each of us can answer, because that's the beauty of a Marco Polo is you're answering on your time, right? So I'd put the question in and then I answer. So I'll be like, oh, we come from a long line of crazy women. And then my sisters would respond. And then it's really fun. And the inspiration for this came for me because when I interviewed my two great aunts together, watching them feed off each other was like the greatest gift. It was so much fun because they would argue and get feisty, but it wasn't negative. It was just fun and cute because it was their
I
personalities.
remember the different.
Exactly. And so I really liked the banter that could still take place here without having to go and sit down and have a formal interview. Does that make sense? Yeah.
The question on that, when I do a note on Marco Polo, it doesn't look like a sticky note like that.
Which one are you doing? Let me see.
Like,
This is an old recording, so they might have changed it a little bit. I've used it more fairly recently. Oh. Hey, they probably just changed the look. I'm trying to think, yeah, that's how they look now, cause you're right. You're right, it's not a sticky note, it's just a black page. You're right, I didn't realize they'd changed that, but you're right, cause yeah, my more recent ones don't have a sticky note look.
Yeah, I like that sticky note.
It's cute, right? But yeah, it's just a text screen now. Yeah, now that I think through all the Roots Tech ones. So basically, what you can do with that to preserve it for later, it will all store in Marco Polo, but you can also long press those and then download them. So then it's saving to your phone and you can put it wherever you want. So I really like that it's accessible that way. And then the other way you could do it, if you wanted them to be all saved together, would just be do a screen record of the whole conversation and have it be one video, which would be cool too. But I really like that it can preserve stories, and I don't have that in here. I should copy it into here. But when I taught the Marco Polo class last year, I went and got my grandpa to do it, and he's like 90 something, and they don't even know how to use a phone at all. And it was the greatest thing teaching them how to use Marco Polo. It was so cute. And I got the cutest video of him talking to my family. Like, I don't, it was really hard for him to understand, but he did it and he started doing it and would chat with us. And it's so cute. And it's like, those are things I never would have captured if I hadn't done it. You know what I mean? So it's just, there's just so many unique ways to capture some of these things. And it really just comes down to thinking outside the box. You know, what are the tools I'm using? How can I utilize them to capture some of these things? So some memories, I just broke this down because this is kind of other tools that if you just need to know ways to capture them. And that's where Google Photo Scan comes in. Because what I have found is that, yeah, there's some stories that I need to preserve, like my great aunt has now passed, but I was so grateful to have these things available because she had all the family stuff. When she passed away, her kids didn't invite me to the party to go through all the stuff, right? I didn't end up with any of it, but I went and I got so much scanned. There were some things she would let me take home to scan, but there was a lot that she didn't want me to ever remove from her house, right? And so being able to take your phone, and there's actually, I should change it. I like the Photo Mine app. It's MYNE, I think. I actually like that one better. I should change it now. But there's so many different apps out there that you can use. So you can use this photo, you can use the memories app. I like this one because it does take the different, did it play through or I don't think it did. It takes different pictures. So I'll just show you how it does it. You set the picture down and Photo Mine will do the same thing, but I think it's a little better quality. And then you move your phone around to circle these circles. So it's taking a bunch of pictures while you're moving your phone around to follow these dots. And when you're done, you don't have glare and all the weird things that come if you just take a picture, right? So it takes a better scan than what you would get if you just take a
Yeah,
picture.
it's especially useful for like, if there's a picture hanging on the wall of your grandma's house.
Yes.
And you're not gonna be able to take it out of the frame and they've got glass covered and there's the glare. You don't have to take it off the wall.
Yep. Yeah, that's like, there's a perfect picture that I used it for that exact thing. And it was the cutest, most precious picture of my grandpa. And she never would have let me take it to scan it, but it was something I could still capture. So yes. So having an app like that is like not even a question, like get one of those because it's worth having so that you're on the ready when you have a chance. And then that comes to Memories by Family Search. And I love this one. And I love this one for teaching everyone to have it on there because once you take that picture, quickly upload it to Family Search Memories app, because even if you forget about it, it's saved in that spot. And then Family Search, anytime it'll be there and you'll go, oh, I never did tag that picture. Oh, I never put it into Family Search, and tagged it and gave it a name and all those things. But if you hurry and upload it straight to Memories, then it's kind of like your own to-do box, right? Of, oh, I've scanned these, but I haven't done anything with them. And then you can remember that they're there and you won't have to go find where you took the picture on your phone and things like that. But what I really love about Memories, and all of you I know this, unless you don't, then just tell me and I won't go as fast. But is I love the writing the story one for gathering stories because because I'm teaching teens a lot. I'm like, you guys get this on your phones and it's Sunday dinner. We live in Utah. Everyone does Sunday dinner. You see your grandparents weekly, most of them. So go and just open this app and click write a story. And it will pop, I thought I had the slides for it, but it will pop up the question and you can interview your grandparent right there on the spot. And what a great gift that is to them.
And then you can transfer these in the family tree and the memories.
Yeah, so once, if you put them on this app, they're automatically gonna be uploaded to your family search memories folder on the website. So they're not gonna automatically be tagged. You'll still have to tag them, but that will attach them straight to the tree. So then when you sit down at a computer and log into family search, they'll be in your gallery. Does that make sense? I know, right? Right? Tools, we love technology.
Other thing about this memory. I had another picture of my mother when she was younger.
Mhm.
Living in memory, and then I had her with the picture, and we attached her talking about that picture.
Yes,
So it's an audio file attached to the picture.
so
And
cool.
it's right there, and I got about 15 of those done before she died.
So cool. I love that you just said that because that is such a good idea and that inspires me. Because sometimes I don't know if you guys get this. I think it's harder to interview your parents than your grandparents. Like your grandparents, it's like, oh, but I feel like you think you know everything about your parents until you don't, right? And so sometimes I need like a good thing, but I like that because with your parents you can do that, right? Or even your siblings, someone who you're too familiar with, right? But you could do that. You can say, hey, tell me about this picture. And that gets a good conversation going. So I love that idea. Which leads to interviewing. See, I cross over too much. I shouldn't even separate this. All right, interviewing. That's what I was talking about. There's your example. So there's all the questions, right? And I love the prompts that it gives. They're not as good as Storyworth, but I love that you can immediately, all you have to do is click on one. So if you select one and you click on it, oh, I didn't do it further. If you click on this, then it automatically pops up. What memories do you have of your oldest relatives? And then you hit the record button and it lets you record for up to 5 minutes.
So, Olivia, if you have already put the memories, you tag them to someone, will they automatically go into this or do you have to transfer it?
No, so no. Hold on, let me open mine.
Wait, what?
Because if you,
Before this app even existed, you have, memories attached to family search. And I was just wondering if
in your
account,
gallery,
if it goes the other
yes,
way, puts it back into here, or is it just a one-way street?
yes, it goes both ways. If you've uploaded them into, and they're in your gallery, yeah, because yes, I have some on here that were before the app.
Because this is a really good filing system of all your memories.
Yeah. Having them in one spot, yeah, for sure. And then being able to break it down by documents and things. Which Family Search doesn't do as good as they used to. They used to give prompts, like I'd randomly get an email and it'd say something like, Selma's birthday, what do you want to remember about her? They don't do that as much anymore, huh? And so I have some really cute ones that I did back in the day where I uploaded a picture of grandma and told a story. They should do that. I'm gonna have to complain.
I should just look.
Yeah, yeah, because it's there, it's already, yeah. So I was like, I can't remember, but then I'm like, yes, they're all there for sure. I've got a lengthy list, so. So yeah, good question. Okay, another one that I think is great because I do find a lot of value in conversation and interviews. So even though like Marco Polo and Storyworth and all these things make it easier, there's so much connection that comes from that actual conversation, right? So if the only thing that's keeping you from doing it is you don't have time to go sit down with them and set up a video recording or an audio recording, an audio call recording app can really, really bridge the gap. If you just wanted to say, I'm going to commit to calling one of my friends, siblings, parents, whatever, every Sunday at this time, and I'm just going to say, hey, I'd like to record you sharing a few stories with me. Is that all right? You can get your questions from Family Search or 52 Stories or whatever, wherever you want to get your questions, but you install an audio call recorder on your phone and it will automatically record. You can set it up to record that phone conversation. Then you're getting their voice, you're getting the conversation, and there's a lot of really quality conversation that happens on a phone. And I like my sister did this with my grandma a lot after I showed her how to do it. And you know, my grandma passed away shortly later, and like those conversations are so precious. They just have like, you know, the dynamic of a conversation is just really sweet to capture. So that's another tool that I recommend considering. I'm just skipping because you kind of get the idea. I've added too many over the years to show you how to do it all. I'm like Rose. We have the same problem. And then Marco Polo, I told you pretty much all the ways I use that, I think. Let me just make sure I didn't do one. But you can add reminders if you want to document. I forgot about that. I didn't mention that before. But yeah, we're in memories. So yeah, I think I told you all the ways to use it. Okay. Your family tree. So now these are the really fun ones because the people who are here all love genealogy already, right? So these are the ones that most of you probably already know about, but it's also good to keep in mind because those that you're trying to help get excited, they might not realize how fun these apps are. So the first one is just obviously Family Search Family Tree. What I love about this app is when you're logged out. We use this at the booth at Onion Days, and it's super, super effective. People love to see where their name's from. It's such a simple tool, and we've been doing it forever. So as genealogists, we think it's dumb, but it's not. People love it. So all you have to do is say, hey, I can tell you a little about your family history. And you say, what's your last name? And then you can click on this and you can type in their last name and it'll tell you all sorts of information about where they're from. Or once you log in, obviously there's a lot more they can do once they log in with discovery experiences. But I love just having just the family search app there for really anything. Let's point out a couple. I'm sure you guys all know these. So slow me down if you don't, if you want me to spend any more time on it. But obviously ancestors with tasks, record hints, that's a great one. I use that all the time and I love it because even if all I do is record hints, if it's the only thing I have time to do, I end up finding new names without even trying because the record hints just automatically get them there. Searching historical records, you can do that straight from your phone. You can do all those different types of searches and you can do that on all the different websites. And I always recommend having all of the big websites apps on your phone if you have accounts with them, because they all search different things and their algorithms are different. They've programmed their algorithms different. And so you might find, even if both of them have the census record, you might find it on Ancestry and not on Family Search. So just setting those up, getting those trees going. I once did the 21-day family history challenge and all I did for 21 days was attach record hints. I just was like, hey, I'm gonna for 21 days attach some record hints. And at the end, I had like 20 new names. It was unbelievable. It was so cool. But obviously I had to sit down and like piece that all together at the end, but that was just by attaching records for 21 days. I didn't have to do anything else. So it was kind of fun.
Because if we have a church account, those apps are
All free.
all free.
Yes. Yep. And get a family history consultant. They can help you set it all up, get it done in a couple minutes. So yeah, definitely. And then for like research and notes, this is another one of those research wikis. This one doesn't have an app, but I still would recommend just doing that life hack and making a spot on your phone. Because when you are doing some research and you come upon a record hint and you're like, I don't know, I'm not really understanding this record. The wiki is such an incredible resource. They have guided research, they have videos, they have so many things. And I really love the wiki. So it's a great tool to have for a hobbyist genealogist, especially because those of us who are hobbyist genealogists don't know how to research everywhere. And so we need to sometimes look it up, right? And so it's nice to just have it on the fly. Another tool that I really like is Ancestry Academy. They have a ton of videos and they're all like brief. They're like bite-sized. So 2 to 5 minute videos. So I really like it for just like, I was working on this and I don't know. You can go in and search like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good one, record hints or newspapers, and it'll give you a really brief rundown of some of the ways you can use Ancestry. And Ancestry is an incredible tool. And there's so much that most of us are probably not tapping into that's there. So if you just watch a little video here and there, you can learn more and you can set up playlists and all those things. And then the Family History Guide, we have to give a huge shout out to because they're incredible and they have so many wonderful resources. And that's another one that doesn't have a website, but you can just put a link on your page. My favorite tool on the Family History Guide is their Come Follow Me companion. I think it's super cool. If you're already doing Come Follow Me for the week and you want to incorporate family history into it, it's a great tool. They already thought through how to incorporate it into the scriptures for that week. So that's a super cool one. But my favorite thing about it is all of the resources to all of the big websites, all of the, it breaks it down, and I love it for newbies. For when you're teaching someone new, I take them there. There's such simple videos and easy to understand. I'm skipping this, I'm sorry. So, well, no, I won't. I'll just point this out. A note-taking, a note-taking app is my next recommendation. And that's because, how often is it like, oh, I'm attaching this record hint and I'm like, I don't totally know, but I don't have time to do it right now, but I don't want to forget about it. So I think having a note-taking app on your phone is critical, and there's different ones you can choose. I think the most important thing is like being able to categorize so that you don't lose that note deep into things, and set reminders. Those are the two things I think are the most important. I often will be working on it, and then I'm like, oh, I can't access this. I have to be at the Family History Center. So I'll just grab the link and then I'll stick it on a note so that when I get to the Family History Center, I can, send it to myself or whatever. I can access it when I'm here and see what that record is. I think that's probably the wall I run into the most with things. But just being able to come back to it later, have those reminders and have things like that. But it's just a great life hack because note keeping apps are the best. You can send messages to yourself, then you can keep everything organized. It's awesome. So it's just a good life hack. And then Google Drive, literally the reason I want to say this one is because a lot of people have a hard time converting to online documents. And I think that's becoming less so. But I think the best hack you can do for yourself with family history is having online stuff that you can access anywhere, because it'll change the way you research. You could pick up anywhere you are and research and pick up exactly where you left off if you have your research log in Google Drive, or if you have your notes and your things like that. So I really recommend having some of that in your Google Drive or on whatever. It doesn't matter which system you use, but in the cloud, so that you don't have to have your computer and your notes with you. You can just pick it up. You can sign in here and just go to work. So that's my Goldie May. Who's used Goldie May? Yeah, only half. Interesting. Goldie May is incredible. Don't we have a class on that one too? Yeah, because Goldie May is a really, really incredible tool, especially for hobbyists, because once again, it's going to walk you through in a really easy way. They have so many cool tools and they're developing more all the time. Ways to grab screens, like, ways to compare your census records so you don't have to print them all anymore. I used to print them all and sit there and like, okay, what do I have on this one and what do I have on that one? Now you can put it all on a screenshotted screen and see them all next to each other. What other tools are excellent about it? It just makes researching, it walks you through the researching process. It lets you save links. It follows your history, so you don't have to write your own research log. There's so many cool tools about it.
Subscription.
It has a free version and a paid version. So the free version will do, because the free version is pretty awesome. It's all they had for a long time. And they've added new tools. So it's one of those where, but even the paid version isn't very much. It's like a couple bucks, right? I can't remember how much it is. I have never paid for it. I've never needed the full version. So yeah, but it really is like, it's a cool tool. It's worth checking out. It's worth coming to class and learning how to use it a little bit, because it is a really great research tool. I'm skipping that one. Sorry. Okay. The last couple is the section of making it fun. Don't forget to make it fun. And most of you know about all these, so I'll go fast, but raise your hand if you want me to go slower on anything. BYU Family History Technology Lab. We love it. It's always coming up with new things. I feel like they had a new one somewhat recently, or they showed me they were working on one. It just has all the fun things, right? Genealogist, virtual pedigree is a fun one. Just go in there and play on it with your kids. Wheel of Family Fortune with your grandkids. It doesn't, like, there's so many different tools and fun things you can do with that. Family Search, Family Tree obviously has all the discovery activities. So they have relatives around me and map my ancestors. And the key to me in helping other people get excited and invested is just figuring out what they love. That's where you can come to Rosa's class and have so many ideas, because It's figuring out what they love and meeting them where they're at. My husband loves maps, so whenever we're on a trip, I'll be like, hey, let's map our ancestors and see if anyone's close. And we've gone to some really cool cemeteries because of that, right? There's so many fun, cool activities. So it's just a matter of helping them to find what parts of family history click with them. So relatives around me, map my ancestors. My sister is on a journey of searching for herself or whatever. And she called me and she's like, since you do family history, and she said, I need to know more about my ancestors because she was, I don't know, she was doing some energy healing or something. I can't remember, but whatever it was, her healer had told her she needed to discover these things, right? And so I took her to the what's it called? Where Am I From? And I showed her all of those tools and she was lost for hours. She loved it. She was having so much fun just digging into seeing where her ancestors were mapped out on this map and being able to see what countries and then digging into more about that. And so it's really just a matter of meeting people where they're at, right? And helping them to have a cool discovery experience. Make it fun, help them learn. And I love with kids, like if they're in school and they're learning about something, there's always a way to bring it back if we just think outside the box. So that's a big one. Okay, so this is Ryder. Hobbies are a delight because of the pure joy they provide to the hobbyist, making hours pass like minutes. Now, we all know that, we all experience that. That's why we're here. That's why we do this. But the key is how can we help other people to have that same experience? But the other key is don't make it too much of a hassle. Like installing these apps on your phone, having them there easy to access and grab is just a great way to do it. Because then you can just do it on your time and in your way. So here's a compilation of everything I showed you today. If you want like a summary of everything, that's it. And there are obviously so many more. This is hopefully just getting the juices flowing and helping you think outside your own boxes and what you're using and what's important to you and what you want to preserve, because you can't do it all. Like you're not going to, and that's okay. That's not the point, right? The point is, hey, what feels right now? What things can I do? Which apps could I install on my phone that would make it so that I'm preserving these stories better? Just what's going to make it easier. And then here's my last question for you. What's your family history folder going to look like? So,
Can you go back one?
yes, sir.
You need to print that out for us.
I should. You're right.
Take a
I'll,
picture with your phone.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That reminds me, so at Roots Tech, we were teaching a class, I don't remember what it was called. It was something about families or something, right? And it was a panel. So there was 3 of us teaching and it was like fun tools. I don't remember what the title was, but it was definitely related to technology, right? And so we got in there and we start teaching it, and every single thing we were teaching was about apps. And like, it was a recorded class, so they told us not to take questions till the end. And I'm sitting there talking, and this lady raises her hand and she goes, is all of this gonna be apps? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, ah, this is a waste of time. And she got up and left. And I was like, that's awkward. Like, I watched back on the recording later and it wasn't very obvious what had happened, but it was just this like funny. I'm like, for Roots Tech, like, I don't know what like, I'm sorry. But she was mad and I felt bad, but so it's okay. We all use our different technology different ways, right? Okay, I just put my, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Obviously, I answered as we went, but here's my contact. If you need anything or if you want anything, I will send you that slide. Or I'll send all of them to you. And I think they're all on my blog spot, but I kind of quit maintaining that a long time ago. So I can't remember if this class ever made it on there. But any questions that I can help you with? I'm so sorry. And every time I try to condense it, it's like, but why? I love this for this reason. I love this for that reason. So it just gets bigger instead of less. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay. How should I stop this
I hope
recording?
this doesn't discourage you, but the coolest thing I learned tonight was to pick a site that was on my.
That's why I put it in there. It doesn't discourage me at all. Should I just stop sharing or pause?
I'll go to more.
More. Oh, okay. And that will stop the recording. Pause, stop recording.